19. Oldest black R&B legends who are still alive today. They gave the world the soundtrack of love, pain, and revolution. But while we celebrate the young stars of today, the elders who built R&B are quietly aging in the shadows. Some are over 80, still performing with fire in their voices. Others receive little recognition, despite shaping the sound of generations. Before another legend is honored only after they're gone, we must ask, do we even remember the pioneers who are still alive? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change how you honor music forever. Like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence. Their stories deserve to be heard now. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder stands as one of the most celebrated figures among the oldest living R&B icons, a musician who turned barriers into breakthroughs. Born in 1950 and blind since infancy, he signed with Motown at age 11 and became a chart-topping star before turning 13. Over his 6-decade career, he has sold more than 100 million records, delivered over 30 top 10 hits, and earned 25 Grammy Awards, more than any other solo male artist in history. What makes Stevie's presence so important today is not only his legendary voice and genre-defining creativity, but the fact that he continues to innovate. Despite facing serious health challenges, including a kidney transplant in 2019, he remains active in the studio, constantly working on new material that pushes soul music forward. As one of the few remaining architects of the classic Motown sound, Stevie Wonder continues to represent the living roots of R&B. His groundbreaking use of synthesizers and his ability to merge funk-pop, gospel, and political messages gave the genre a modern identity that is still studied today. Songs like Superstition, Higher Ground, Isn't She Lovely, I Just Called to Say I Love You, and Living for the City still resonate across generations and remain staples of global pop culture. More importantly, he used his fame to influence real-world change. His activism helped push forward the U.S. national holiday honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., proving his artistry wasn't just for applause, but for empowerment. Even in his 70s, Stevie Wonder performs at major cultural celebrations, award shows, and international festivals. He divides his time between Los Angeles and Ghana, where he supports community programs and mentorship for young artists. He continues to experiment with new compositions, blending Afro-soul jazz elements and spiritual themes. While many of his peers have retired from the spotlight, Stevie refuses to slow down, driven by a belief that music is a force for transformation. He once said, "As long as I breathe, I will sing," a promise he has kept with unwavering faith. In a world that often forgets living legends until they are gone, Stevie Wonder stands tall as proof that true greatness doesn't fade, it evolves. As we honor the oldest surviving contributors to R&B's golden era, his influence remains unmatched. He is not only a survivor of music history, but one of its greatest storytellers, still writing the soundtrack of humanity with hope, heart, and harmony. Tina Turner. Tina Turner may no longer be with us. She passed away on May 24, 2023 at age 83, but her position among the longest-standing black R&B pioneers remains unquestionable. Born Anna Mae Bullock in 1939, she rose from extreme poverty in Nutbush, Tennessee, and turned her voice into a volcanic force that changed rock and rhythm and blues forever. She entered the music scene in the late 1950s, a time when black women were often pushed into the background. Instead, she exploded into the spotlight with fierce stage presence and powerful vocals. Her early career with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue brought hits like River Deep, Mountain High, and Proud Mary tracks that remain cornerstones of R&B and soul performance style to this day. Although many artists reach fame, few survive what Tina endured behind the curtain. Her years in an abusive relationship with Ike Turner are well documented, and her escape in 1976 became one of the most heroic reinventions in modern music. She returned stronger than ever in the 1980s, with the multi-platinum album Private Dancer selling over 12 million copies worldwide. She became one of the oldest female artists to achieve a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 with What's Love Got to Do with It. At age 44, an achievement that shattered stereotypes about aging women in entertainment. To this day, Tina remains the only Black woman to have won competitive Grammy Awards in 3 different genres: rock, pop, and R&B, earning a total of 12 Grammys, including a Lifetime Achievement Award. In her later life, she chose peace after decades under the spotlight. She moved to Küsnacht, Switzerland, where she lived with her husband, Erwin Bach, and gained Swiss citizenship in 2013. Despite health struggles, including intestinal cancer and kidney failure, she continued to work on autobiographies, a documentary, and a Broadway musical based on her life. Even when she could no longer perform, she remained a guiding spirit to younger generations. Artists like Beyoncé and Mary J. Blige have credited Tina as a blueprint for empowerment, showmanship, and survival. While this series honors legends who are still alive, Tina Turner's placement here acknowledges a vital truth: she lived long enough to see her legacy fully appreciated. Her passing reminds us to celebrate pioneers while they can still feel the love. Tina Turner wasn't just a star of the R&B golden era. She was the mountain peak, a symbol of resilience whose influence will continue to electrify the world for decades to come. Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson, born in 1940, stands as one of the oldest living architects of R&B and the poetic voice behind Motown's rise to global dominance. With a career stretching more than 65 years, he wrote and co-wrote over 4,000 songs, including timeless hits like Tracks of My Tears, My Girl, Tears of a Clown, and Cruisin'. As the co-founder and lead singer of The Miracles, he carried Motown Records from a Detroit dream to a worldwide empire. His smooth tenor and unmatched lyricism earned him the nickname the Poet Laureate of Soul. Smokey's compositions weren't just successful, they shaped the emotional vocabulary of Black romance and gave R&B storytelling its gentle, reflective edge. Beyond his success as an artist, Robinson played a critical role behind the scenes. He served as Motown's vice president from 1972 to 1988, mentoring acts who would become legends themselves: The Temptations' Marvin Gaye and The Supremes. Even after leaving his executive position, he continued releasing charting albums and performing on global stages. His catalog has earned him numerous honors, including induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 1987, the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and recognition by Rolling Stone as one of the greatest singers and songwriters in history. Few living musicians hold a legacy that is simultaneously personal, cultural, and foundational to an entire genre. Robinson's journey hasn't been without hardship. In the 1980s, he nearly lost everything to cocaine addiction, describing it as the darkest period of his life. After a near-fatal breakdown and a life-saving intervention, he rebuilt his health and career with discipline, adopting a plant-based lifestyle, regular exercise, spiritual practice, and focused creativity. Today, at 84 years old, he continues to perform energetic concerts, appearing flawless in tailored suits, his voice remarkably preserved. Recent albums like Gasm's 2023 prove he still dares to evolve artistically rather than rest on nostalgia. As we celebrate the oldest Black R&B legends still alive, Smokey Robinson shines as a symbol of endurance and artistic devotion. His influence spans generations of lovers, dancers, dreamers, and singers who found healing in his melodies. He remains an active witness to the birth, evolution, and global triumph of rhythm and blues. Smokey Robinson is not just surviving, he is still writing, still performing, and still reminding the world that soul music breathes. Because he does. Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight, born in 1944, remains one of the most powerful voices still standing from the golden age of R&B. Known worldwide as the Empress of Soul, she began performing publicly at just 4 years old and formed Gladys Knight and the Pips with her siblings soon after. Through the 1960s and 1970s, she delivered classics like Midnight Train to Georgia, Neither One of Us, and If I Were Your Woman, earning 7 Grammy Awards and more than 20 Billboard Top 40 hits. Her smooth yet fiery sound built a bridge between gospel roots and contemporary R&B, making her one of the most respected vocalists in American music history. Even today, young performers cite her controlled emotional depth and storytelling as vocal gold standards. Her endurance is even more impressive when considering the battles she faced behind the scenes. Knight confronted industry racism, grueling touring schedules, and personal losses, yet never let adversity silence her. She survived legal struggles after discovering that her name and trademarks were being used without permission, and fought through years of financial instability following management issues. Instead of stepping back, she pushed forward, reinventing her career multiple times through film Las Vegas residencies, gospel work, and collaborations with new generations of musicians. Her autobiography, film appearances, and philanthropic leadership show a woman whose talents stretch far beyond the microphone. Now, well into her late 70s, Gladys Knight continues to perform with remarkable energy. In recent years, she has headlined international tours, delivered viral performances at the 2022 Super Bowl, and released charting gospel albums that reflect her deep faith. She maintains rigorous vocal discipline and lifestyle habits that allow her to sustain her iconic stage presence, a commitment few artists her age can claim. Audiences who attend her concerts still witness that same commanding voice that once electrified world stages, proving that she has not lost a step in almost 70 years of performing. As we honor the oldest living R&B icons, Gladys Knight represents a blueprint of resilience, professionalism, and artistic longevity. She is part of a rare generation that built soul music from raw truth and remains active to remind us where the genre came from. While many legends are remembered only through old television clips and archived recordings, Gladys Knight is still here, still touring, still singing with conviction. She is not simply a survivor of R&B history. She is its continuing heartbeat, ensuring the golden era lives on every time she walks on a stage. Dionne Warwick. Dionne Warwick, born in 1940, remains one of the most influential voices in the history of R&B and pop soul, a living legend whose career spans more than 60 years. She emerged in the early 1960s as the muse of composer Burt Bacharach and lyricist Hal David, crafting a sophisticated sound that set her apart from the era's vocal styles. With iconic recordings such as Walk On by I Say a Little Prayer, That's What Friends Are For, and Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Warwick has sold more than 100 million records worldwide. Her precise phrasing, warm tone, and emotional storytelling earned her 6 Grammy Awards and a permanent place in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, making her one of the oldest surviving chart-topping Black divas. Her life off stage has been equally meaningful. Warwick used her fame to advocate for AIDS awareness at a time when public fear and stigma were high. Her charity single, That's What Friends Are For, raised over $3 million for medical research and support organizations, becoming one of the most successful philanthropic musical efforts in history. Though she faced personal and financial challenges, including bankruptcy resulting from mismanagement, she rebuilt her career with strength and transparency, never hiding from the realities behind her glamorous legacy. What makes Dionne Warwick extraordinary among today's living R&B elders is how she remains culturally relevant in the modern age. Rather than fading quietly, she embraced a new generation of fans through social media, earning the affectionate title Twitter Queen, with her witty commentary and joyful conversations with younger celebrities. She also continues to take part in high-profile tribute events, host TV appearances, and collaborate on new music, proving creative longevity doesn't require compromise. As we celebrate the oldest Black R&B pioneers who are still alive, Dionne Warwick stands as a testament to grace, vocal mastery, and timeless artistry. She is one of the few surviving icons who witnessed and helped shape the evolution from classic soul to contemporary R&B. Still performing into her 80s, she remains a living bridge between generations. With every interview, every note, and every moment she shares with the world, Dionne Warwick reminds us that legends are not only remembered, they can still shine brilliantly while they're here. Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle, born in 1944 in Philadelphia, remains one of the most electrifying voices still gracing the world of R&B. Often called the godmother of soul, she began her career with Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells before evolving into a solo powerhouse. Her soaring vocals, 5-octave range, and dramatic stage presence helped craft unforgettable hits like If Only You Knew on My Own, New Attitude, and Lady Marmalade. Over more than 60 years in entertainment, she has earned 2 Grammy Awards, multiple Lifetime Achievement honors, and a reputation as one of the most dynamic live performers of her generation. LaBelle's music and performance style have inspired countless artists, especially Black women, aiming to balance power and vulnerability on stage. Despite the glamour, audiences see Patti's life has been shaped by deep perseverance. She has endured significant personal loss, including the deaths of her parents and 3 sisters to illness before they reached the age of 50. Rather than retreat, she turned grief into momentum, raising awareness for cancer, diabetes, and Alzheimer's while balancing a demanding touring schedule. Patti also reinvented herself beyond music. She became a New York Times best-selling author, launched a successful food brand, and gained new fans through acting roles in popular cooking shows. Each reinvention has extended her cultural influence far beyond the recording studio. Remarkably, Patti LaBelle remains a full-time performer well into her late 70s. She continues to headline concerts, appear on television specials, and record new music demonstrating vocal power that most singers half her age struggle to achieve. Her live shows are full of signature high kicks, emotional storytelling, and spontaneous ad-libs that showcase her unmatched musical instincts. Audiences leave not just entertained, but uplifted by her joy, wisdom, and resilience. As we honor the oldest living R&B legends, still shaping the genre's legacy, Patti LaBelle stands as the embodiment of passion that refuses to dim. She helped define soul performance during its golden years, and continues to evolve with the times while staying true to her roots. Patti is not simply a survivor of music history. She is a force who still commands the stage, still inspires the next generation, and still proves that greatness only grows stronger with age. Mavis Staples. Mavis Staples, born in 1939, stands among the oldest and most influential voices still shaping the legacy of R&B. As the unmistakable lead singer of the Staple Singers, she helped bring gospel-rooted soul into mainstream culture with landmark hits such as I'll Take You There, Respect Yourself, but Let's Do It Again. Her family group wasn't just a band, they were a driving force of the civil rights movement, performing alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and using music as a weapon for social change. Even today, her deep, smoky alto carries a message that blends worship, protest, and love with equal force, preserving the spirit of a pivotal era in American history. Across more than 7 decades of performing, Mavis has earned multiple Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement honor and a Kennedy Center honor. She has collaborated with diverse generations of artists, Prince, Bob Dylan, Hozier, and Jeff Tweedy, proof that her voice moves effortlessly across genres while staying rooted in soul. Unlike many legends who retreat from the spotlight in later years, Mavis has enjoyed a powerful renaissance in her 70s and 80s, releasing some of the most critically acclaimed albums of her career. Her modern work addresses police brutality, racial injustice, and the need for hope, showing that her activism has never faded. Offstage, Staples radiates warmth and humor, but her personal life has also been marked by solitude and sacrifice. She never married or had children, believing that her calling to music and movement demanded her full devotion. Yet, she has never been alone. Fans, musicians, and entire communities see her as a spiritual auntie of soul. Her presence at festivals and late-night shows today continues to attract young audiences who recognize authenticity when they hear it. As one of the oldest R&B pioneers still performing, Mavis Staples represents the living heartbeat of Black musical history. She has seen segregation, cultural revolution, and technological transformation, and still stands strong with microphone in hand. For every person who has ever needed a song to lift them forward, Mavis offers proof that soul is not just a sound, its endurance, courage, and purpose. She remains a lighthouse for the genre, guiding the present, honoring the past, and reminding us that music can still change the world when sung with truth. Otis Williams. Otis Williams, born in 1941, remains one of the last living pillars of Motown's golden age and the sole surviving founding member of the Temptations. While he was not the lead vocalist, his leadership, vision, and vocal blend were instrumental in shaping one of the most iconic male groups in music history. Through hits like My Girl Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Papa Was a Rollin' Stone, and Just My Imagination, Williams helped define the sophisticated sound and synchronized style that turned the Temptations into global R&B ambassadors. With the group celebrating more than 6 decades of success, Otis remains the steady heartbeat behind a legacy that continues to influence modern vocal groups worldwide. His journey has been marked by extraordinary triumph and deep loss. Otis witnessed the devastating deaths of several original members: Paul Williams, David Ruffin, Melvin Franklin, and Eddie Kendricks, each passing under difficult and emotional circumstances. Yet he vowed to keep the group's legacy alive. Through countless lineup changes, Williams has served as musical director, choreographer, and historian, ensuring the Temptations stayed relevant through evolving styles from classic soul to psychedelic funk to contemporary R&B. His autobiography inspired the award-winning TV miniseries The Temptations, helping new generations understand the pressures and brilliance behind the spotlight. Still active today, Otis Williams continues to tour internationally with the current Temptations lineup. Now in his early 80s, he remains dedicated to performing their timeless choreography, maintaining discipline in both fitness and vocal training. In 2022, he was celebrated through the Broadway jukebox musical Ain't Too Proud, which earned a Tony Award and reinforced his role as a living guardian of Motown's heritage. Offstage, he also spends time mentoring younger artists and protecting the Temptations' recorded legacy with pride and precision. And as we recognize the oldest Black R&B legends still alive today, Otis Williams symbolizes endurance not only in music, but in brotherhood and Black cultural preservation. Few artists can say they helped build an institution that remains beloved worldwide after 60 years. Otis proves that leadership matters as much as stardom, and that sometimes the last one standing is the one who carried everyone else forward. He continues to honor fallen friends every time he steps under the spotlight, reminding the world that the Temptations are immortal as long as he is still singing. Candi Staton. Candi Staton, born in 1940 in Huntsville, Alabama, is one of the oldest living R&B figures whose voice has guided multiple eras of soul, disco, and gospel. She first gained attention in the late 1960s with deeply emotional Southern soul hits, like I'd Rather Be an Old Man's Sweetheart and Stand By Your Man, where her gritty, heartfelt delivery earned her the title First Lady of Southern Soul. But her worldwide breakthrough came in 1976 with the disco anthem Young Hearts Run Free, a song that topped the dance charts globally and remains a cross-generational empowerment soundtrack nearly 50 years later. With a career spanning more than 6 decades, she has been nominated for 4 Grammy Awards and accumulated over 30 hit singles across various genres. What distinguishes Staton from many of her peers still alive today is her remarkable ability to reinvent herself without losing authenticity. After dominating the soul and disco scenes, she pivoted to contemporary gospel in the 1980s, scoring hits like Love Lifted Me and The First Face I Want to See. This versatility reflects her personal journey, one marked by survival and spiritual growth. She openly shared her battles with abusive relationships, financial hardships, and family struggles, using her music as a source of healing not only for audiences, but for herself. Her vulnerability made her a beacon of hope for women overcoming trauma, especially within the Black community. Even in her 70s and 80s, Staton has continued to record new material and perform internationally. Her 2014 album Life Happens and 2018 project Unstoppable received strong critical praise, showcasing her ability to merge vintage soul with modern production. In 2023, she revealed her cancer diagnosis, a challenge she has faced with the same courage found in her lyrics. Instead of withdrawing from public life, she has remained vocal about resilience, encouraging others to embrace love, health, and faith. As we celebrate the oldest living R&B legends, Candi Staton stands as proof that endurance is a form of greatness. She has shaped soul music, influenced dance culture, and brought gospel to mainstream listeners, all while staying true to her Southern roots. Her story reminds us that legendary status isn't only measured by awards or chart numbers, but by the lives a voice can lift. At over 80 years old, Candi Staton continues to shine as a living testimony that music has the power to survive every season of life. Jean Knight. Jean Knight, born in 1943 in New Orleans, remains one of the oldest living R&B hitmakers whose voice still echoes through American pop culture. She rose to international fame in 1971 with the smash single Mr. Big Stuff, a feminist anthem that reached #1 on the Billboard R&B chart and earned a Grammy nomination. With its bold question, "Who do you think you are?" the track became a soundtrack of confidence for Black women during a time of major cultural change. Knight's powerful, sassy delivery helped define the New Orleans soul sound and opened doors for future Southern R&B artists to claim the mainstream stage without compromising their identity or accent. Even decades later, the song remains widely licensed in films, commercials, and sporting events, proof that her influence endures long after the record stopped spinning. Despite that groundbreaking success, Jean Knight's path in the music industry was not smooth. She left Stax Records shortly after her breakout due to contractual issues, and struggled with disappointing follow-ups that did not receive proper promotion. Rather than fade away, she reinvented herself through Louisiana's rich live music circuit, becoming a beloved figure at festivals, nightclubs, and Mardi Gras celebrations. In the 1980s, she delivered another hit with My Toot Toot, earning a platinum certification and reaffirming her ability to revive her career on her own terms. Knight continued releasing singles and performing regionally, proving that she was never dependent on a major label to reach her audience. Her legacy extends beyond the stage. Jean Knight embraced a role as a community icon in New Orleans, using her fame to uplift local culture. She supported neighborhood arts initiatives, participated in charity shows, and served as an example of resilience for younger musicians navigating an unpredictable industry. While many from her era stepped away from performing altogether, Knight remained active well into her later years, fueled by a love for the fans who stood by her long after national media turned its attention elsewhere. Her ability to stay grounded despite global fame reflects a deep connection to her roots, one that has been central to her identity since day one. As we honor the oldest Black R&B legends still alive today, Jean Knight represents how a single moment in music can define a lifetime, yet never limit a legacy. She has lived through shifting genres, industry struggles, and changing technology, but has continued to sing and smile through it all. Now in her 80s, she stands as a reminder that history isn't only written by those who dominate the charts year after year. Sometimes it is secured by one unforgettable voice that refuses to be forgotten. Jean Knight's story proves that a true legend doesn't fade. She continues to inspire every time Mr. Big Stuff booms through the speakers. Carla Thomas. Carla Thomas, born in 1942 in Memphis, Tennessee, is one of the oldest surviving queens of soul and a central figure in the rise of Southern R&B. Known as the Princess of Stax, she helped shape the iconic sound of Stax Records in the 1960s, blending gospel roots with polished pop soul elegance. Her early breakthrough, Gee Whiz Look at His Eyes, reached the top 10 on both the pop and R&B charts when she was just 18 years old, a rare achievement at the time for a young Black woman songwriter. She followed with classics like B.A.B.Y. Let Me Be Good to You, and her duets with Otis Redding on the album King and Queen. Carla became a beacon of youthful confidence and romantic storytelling, proving women could lead and innovate within a male-dominated industry. Being the daughter of entertainer Rufus Thomas, Carla grew up surrounded by music, but she never treated her success as guaranteed. She studied theater at Howard University while maintaining her recording schedule, determined to build her own identity beyond her father's legacy. At Stax, however, commercial pressures began to conflict with her desire to explore deeper lyrical themes. As the late 1960s brought social disruption and fierce shifts in music, she felt her artistic choices were being limited by expectations to remain soft, sweet, and non-controversial. The sudden death of Otis Redding, her close collaborator, and the decline of Stax also changed the direction of her career. Although she remained a respected performer, she gradually stepped out of the center spotlight to protect her mental well-being and independence. Unlike many artists who chase fame for decades, Carla Thomas intentionally redirected her life toward education and community service. She worked in after-school programs, youth workshops, and literacy campaigns across Memphis. In the 1990s and 2000s, she performed only for special events including Stax reunions and selective charity concerts. Awards from institutions like the Memphis Music Hall of Fame and the National Endowment for the Arts recognized her as a cultural pioneer whose voice and artistry laid the foundation for generations of R&B women from Aretha Franklin to modern soul stylists. Today, in her early 80s, Carla Thomas lives quietly in Memphis, the same city that first celebrated her talent. She rarely appears in media, but remains deeply respected among music scholars and soul fans worldwide. As we acknowledge the oldest living legends of R&B, Carla represents a different type of success story. A woman who stepped away from the industry on her own terms after achieving everything she set out to do. Her work continues to be sampled, studied, and cherished, ensuring the Princess of Stax will forever be part of the royal lineage of American soul. William Bell. William Bell, born in 1939 in Memphis, remains one of the oldest living architects of Southern soul and a defining voice of the Stax Records legacy. Before many peers reached national recognition, he shaped a signature sound that blended church-born emotion with richly arranged R&B rhythms. His debut single, You Don't Miss Your Water, 1961, became one of Stax's first nationwide hits and laid the foundation for the label's rise. Bell continued strengthening that legacy with songs like I Forgot to Be Your Lover and Bound to Happen, while his co-writing on Born Under a Bad Sign created a blues anthem later covered by Albert King Cream and countless others, cementing his influence far beyond Memphis. His dual role as both songwriter and performer set him apart during the golden era of soul music. Working alongside icons such as Otis Redding and Booker T and the MG, Bell helped define a storytelling style rooted in heartbreak, dignity, and survival themes that resonated across America during a time of cultural transformation. When Stax faced devastating loss after Redding's passing and financial collapse, Bell refused to surrender his artistic independence. Relocating to Atlanta, he founded Will Be Records, one of the earliest black artist-owned soul labels, nurturing new talent and maintaining control over his creative output. His forward-thinking approach quietly influenced later waves of independent R&B and hip-hop entrepreneurship. Bell's later career resurgence reflects the power of perseverance. In his late 70s, he released This Is Where I Live 2016, an album that earned the Grammy Award for Best Americana Album, proving that his songwriting continues to evolve rather than rely solely on nostalgia. Critics praised the project for its emotional honesty and masterful vocal delivery, demonstrating that Bell's voice, warm, textured, and wise, remains a vital presence in American music. Even as trends shift, his dedication to soulful craft and human storytelling has kept his work both relevant and revered. William Bell also serves as a cultural guardian, contributing to archival efforts and supporting educational initiatives such as the Stax Music Academy, ensuring younger generations understand the origins of soul. His journey spans vinyl cassettes, CDs, and streaming platforms, a living timeline of black music's transformation. Among the oldest R&B legends still with us, Bell embodies resilience, innovation, and loyalty to his roots. He not only witnessed the evolution of soul from the inside, he authored some of its most enduring chapters. Through William Bell, the heart of Stax continues to beat strong. Thelma Houston. Thelma Houston, born in 1946 in Mississippi and raised in California, remains one of the longest-standing voices in R&B and disco history. She first gained recognition during the 1970s, when her remarkable vocal strength brought music lovers to their feet. Her signature track, Don't Leave Me This Way, became an international anthem, reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1977 and winning her a Grammy Award for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. The song would later become a symbol of hope during the AIDS crisis, cementing Houston's impact beyond the dance floor. Over nearly 5 decades, she has remained a reliable force in recording theater, film, and television, representing the golden era of disco with elegance and pride. Throughout her career, Houston never fit into one box. She recorded soulful ballads, uplifting dance records, and later gospel-infused material that showcased her versatility. Unlike many artists who rely on one breakthrough, she continued releasing albums that reflected each era's sound while maintaining the emotional authenticity that first defined her. She frequently appeared on variety shows, stage productions, and award celebrations that honored Black female trailblazers, a testament to the respect she commands among peers and fans alike. Houston's longevity stems not only from her musical talent, but her refusal to fade quietly as trends change. Into her 70s, she has performed energetic live shows at major festivals, such as Pride events worldwide, connecting her legacy to advocacy and inclusivity. She released new music including fresh dance remixes of her classic hit and regularly collaborated with younger producers, keeping her sound current without abandoning the soul foundation that made her a star. Among the oldest living R&B icons, Thelma Houston stands as living proof that one timeless voice can ignite generations of joy, resilience, and unity. Her presence reinforces that the roots of disco and R&B are still alive, not just preserved in history books. From rural Mississippi to global fame, Houston's journey reflects courage, endurance, and a fierce commitment to performing. As audiences continue dancing to her music more than 45 years after her biggest hit topped the charts, Thelma Houston celebrates a lifetime of art that still lifts the world each time the beat drops. Bettye LaVette. Bettye LaVette, born in 1946 in Muskegon, Michigan, stands among the oldest living R&B powerhouses and one of the most resilient artists of her generation. She first entered the spotlight as a teenager with the 1962 hit, My Man, He's a Loving Man, earning immediate critical praise. Yet unlike many peers who enjoyed instant fame, LaVette spent decades fighting for recognition in an industry that overlooked women who didn't fit its commercial mold. She recorded with major labels like Atlantic and Motown, scored regional successes, but time and again her most ambitious projects were shelved before release. Still, she refused to disappear. Her voice, raw, raspy, and emotionally surgical, continued to evolve, expressing a lifetime of stories other singers could only imitate. The turning point arrived in the 2000s when renewed attention to soul revival brought LaVette back into the global spotlight. Her album, I've Got My Own Hell to Raise, 2005, introduced her to a new audience, and critics hailed her as a once-in-a-century interpreter capable of transforming lyrics into living confessions. She followed with Grammy-nominated projects including The Scene of the Crime Interpretations, The British Rock Songbook, and Things Have Changed, a bold reinvention of Bob Dylan's work. Throughout this renaissance, LaVette's performances have become master classes in emotional truth. Every note sounds like a fight she has already won. Her comeback is not merely musical, it is deeply personal. LaVette has been open about the challenges of aging in entertainment, especially as a Black woman who never received the marketing machine others benefited from. Yet she continues touring with stamina and conviction, refusing to let age or industry politics decide her worth. Critics consistently praise her for delivering performances more intense and nuanced in her late 70s than many stars manage in their peak years. As we celebrate the oldest R&B legends still alive, Bettye LaVette represents the soul of perseverance. She embodies what happens when a voice refuses to retire, when artistry sharpens instead of dulling with time. Her career arc reminds us that greatness isn't always crowned early. Sometimes it is earned one stage, one lyric, and one unstoppable moment at a time. Bettye LaVette's journey proves that a legend's glow can burn brightest in the years others expect it to fade. Brenda Holloway. Brenda Holloway, born in 1946 in Los Angeles, is one of the youngest pioneers from Motown's classic era, who is still with us, a surviving link to the formative years of West Coast soul. At just 17, she became one of the first major Motown artists signed outside Detroit, bringing a distinctive California sound to the label known for its Midwest roots. Her breakout came with Every Little Bit Hurts 1964, a top 20 hit that showcased her rich vocal clarity and emotional power. She later toured with the Beatles on their historic 1965 U.S. tour, making her one of the few black R&B women of that time to perform on the same bill with the world's biggest band. Despite her young age, Holloway quickly became a respected stylist, whose recordings influenced artists like Diana Ross and Dusty Springfield. Although equipped with the star-quality Motown-prized striking beauty stage charisma and songwriting talent, Holloway often felt constrained creatively. She wrote songs and pushed for more control over her image and material, which was unusual for artists in the mid-1960s. Tensions emerged between her artistic ambitions and the company's tightly managed direction. After recording standout singles like When I'm Gone and You've Made Me So Very Happy Later, a major hit for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, she chose to leave Motown in 1968. Her departure was bold, walking away from one of the fastest-growing labels in the world, but Holloway believed independence mattered more than fame that didn't reflect who she was. Away from the major spotlight, she didn't vanish from music. Holloway continued recording gospel and soul independently, occasionally releasing new work and performing at specialty festivals. In the 1980s and 1990s, renewed interest in Motown's legacy brought her early contributions back into focus, especially in the United Kingdom, where Northern Soul audiences embraced her catalog with enthusiasm. She also received recognition as the original voice behind songs that later became pop standards, helping to restore professional respect that had long been overdue. Although never marketed as aggressively as her Motown peers, her artistic influence, particularly in phrasing and emotional delivery, ripples through generations of soul vocalists. Now in her late 70s, Brenda Holloway lives a quieter life in California, occasionally granting interviews and selectively returning to the stage to connect with longtime fans. Her story underscores that legends are not always defined by non-stop chart success. Sometimes they are defined by conviction, artistic integrity, and music that withstands time. Among the oldest living R&B icons, Holloway represents a rare combination of youthful stardom, independent spirit, and lasting cultural impact. As long as her recordings continue to move listeners, the legacy she built with courage at 17 will remain unforgettable. Swamp Dogg. Swamp Dogg. Born Jerry Williams Jr. in 1942 in Virginia, is one of the oldest living architects of experimental R&B, a cult icon who refused to let the music industry define his boundaries. Before he adopted his eccentric stage persona, he worked as a traditional soul artist and songwriter, writing hits such as She's All I Got, which earned a Grammy nomination and became a country soul standard recorded by major artists across genres. But in 1970, frustrated with industry limits placed on black creativity, he reinvented himself as Swamp Dogg, a satirical, outspoken, genre-bending force, blending soul, psychedelic rock-funk, and political commentary. His groundbreaking album, Total Destruction to Your Mind, became a cultural shockwave, challenging censorship and exposing social hypocrisy long before such rebellion was celebrated. Even though his work was too bold for radio of the time, Swamp Dogg's independent spirit inspired countless musicians to follow. While mainstream success never matched his influence, his music built a devoted following in underground scenes, especially among record collectors, civil rights activists, and soul revivalists. His irreverent humor and fearless lyrics critiquing war, racism, and exploitation made him a truth-teller in an era obsessed with polished image-making. Instead of retreating when his style was deemed too strange, he doubled down, producing dozens of albums for himself and others, creating a legacy rooted in freedom, experimentation, and artistic ownership. His legacy has only grown stronger in the 21st century. Rediscovered by younger audiences and sampled by modern producers, Swamp Dogg has collaborated with high-profile contemporary acts such as Bon Iver, Justin Vernon, and John Prine. His albums released in his 70s and 80s, including Love, Loss, and Auto-Tune, received high critical praise for fusing vintage soul vocals with futuristic digital production. Few artists of his generation continue to innovate with such boldness, proving that creativity does not retire with age. As we honor the oldest living R&B legend, Swamp Dogg stands as a symbol of artistic rebellion and integrity. His career is a reminder that soul is not only about romance and smooth vocals, it is also a weapon for truth. With more than 60 years in music and no signs of slowing down, he embodies what it means to survive, not by adapting to the system, but by refusing to let the system silence you. Swamp Dogg's story proves that the bravest legends aren't always the most famous, but they are often the ones history eventually realizes it cannot live without. Ruby Andrews. Ruby Andrews, born in 1947 in Chicago, is one of the oldest surviving voices from the golden age of Chicago soul, a singer whose music carried a unique blend of sweetness and fire. She made a powerful entrance onto the national scene in 1967 with the gold-certified smash, Casanova, Your Playing Days Are Over, a song that reached the top 10 on the Billboard R&B chart and became an empowerment anthem for women confronting unfaithful partners. Andrews' phrasing, elegant yet full of attitude, won her comparisons to icons like Gladys Knight, while still maintaining a distinct style shaped by gospel training and city life. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, she delivered additional favorites such as You Made a Believer Out of Me and I Found a Love at Last, solidifying her place within the thriving soul movement emerging from the Midwest. Her success, however, came at a time when record label politics often restricted black women's careers. Andrews' opportunities were sometimes limited by small promotional budgets and an industry that prioritized marketable images over artistic development. Still, she stayed in demand through relentless touring and a deep connection to her local fan base. By the late 1970s and 1980s, as commercial tastes shifted, she expanded her repertoire by recording blues, funk, and even modern soul, proving her adaptability and refusing to be boxed in by trends controlled from above. Ruby's contributions extended behind the microphone as well. She co-founded the Geneva Method, an artist development program that focused on uplifting young black performers and preserving Chicago's music heritage. One of the most defining aspects of Ruby Andrews' legacy is longevity earned quietly rather than loudly. While some stars burned fast and faded, she embraced a career built on consistency, community, and integrity. She performed extensively across the United States and the United Kingdom, where Northern Soul audiences embraced her as a cult favorite, spinning her songs in late-night venues that prized authenticity over chart position. Fans praised her as a master of soul storytelling, capable of turning even the simplest lyric into a moment of deep, emotional truth. Archive reissues in the 2000s introduced her catalog to new listeners and reaffirmed the importance of her musical contributions. Now in her late 70s, Ruby Andrews continues to be celebrated by collectors, historians, and dedicated fans who recognize the foundation she helped lay for female soul vocalists who followed. Her legacy stands as a testament that success in black music is not defined only by headlines and award counts, but by the lasting connection between an artist and the community they uplift. Among the oldest living R&B legends, Ruby Andrews represents resilience, preserved elegance, and a voice that refuses to be forgotten. Maxine Brown. Maxine Brown, born in 1939 in Louisiana and raised in New York, is one of the oldest living vocal pioneers connected to the birth of modern R&B harmony. She found success in the early 1960s with her first hit, All in My Mind, a top 5 R&B single that she also co-wrote, a rare achievement for a young black woman at that time. Her follow-up, Funny, became another major charting success. Brown later joined the Chantels briefly, and then teamed with Dee Dee Warwick and Cissy Houston as the sweet inspirations of vocal group that backed giants like Aretha Franklin and Elvis Presley. Though her role was often behind the spotlight, her tone, warm, spiritual, and emotionally direct, helped define the girl group era's polished sound. Despite her early achievements, Brown was undervalued by record executives who prioritized marketable images over creative integrity. She fought for freedom to perform original material and refused sexualized marketing tactics pushed on young female vocalists. This meant her brilliant songwriting was too often dismissed or handed away to others who were seen as better fits for commercial trends. Still, she persisted throughout the 1960s and 1970s, performing nationwide and recording for labels including Wand Records. Her 1968 album, Out of Sight, later became a cult favorite among Northern soul collectors, proving her music held lasting cultural weight even when commercial support faded. Maxine Brown's influence also extends through the artists she helped elevate. She advocated for then-unknown talents, including Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, who later became songwriting legends at Motown. Brown's insistence on emotional authenticity shaped a generation of R&B vocal delivery, a blueprint later carried forward by Whitney Houston, whose mother Cissy often sang at Brown's side. Offstage, she raised a family while continuing to tour and record independently, showing the power of a career built not on hype, but on heart. She later recounted her journey in the memoir Looking Back My Life in Gospel, Rhythm, and Blues, offering an important first-hand archive of women's roles in shaping black music. Now in her 80s, Maxine Brown remains respected as a living bridge to the moment R&B crossed into pop stardom. She has survived eras that celebrated others more loudly, but time continues to reveal just how essential she was to the foundation of soulful harmony and storytelling. As we honor the oldest legends still with us, Maxine Brown stands for every woman who fought for voice, authorship, and dignity in a system that tried to limit her. Her resilience reminds us that history's greatest architects are not always the ones crowned, but often those whose work quietly made the crown shine. Mabel John. Mabel John, born in Louisiana in 1930 and raised in Detroit, was one of the first women to lay the foundation for the Motown Records empire. Before Diana Ross or Martha Reeves were celebrated, Mabel was the first female singer to sign a solo contract with Berry Gordy. Possessing a deep, rich, soulful blues voice, she made groundbreaking records like 1960's Who Wouldn't Love a Man Like That, bringing a more mature, powerful tone to the fledgling Motown. Though she later moved to Stax Records, Mabel continued to make her mark with the 1966 hit Your Good Thing Is About to End, a song later covered by Lou Rawls and many others, proving the enduring power of her heartfelt stories. Mabel John's career spanned not only the stage, but also the backstage, where she witnessed both the glory and the dark side of the black music industry. As the older sister of the legendary Little Willie John, Mabel witnessed her brother's unfair treatment and death in prison in 1968, a trauma that taught her the price of the spotlight. As the industry changed and new artists emerged, Mabel chose to step out of the spotlight consciously, preserving her dignity and self-belief. Something not many legends have the courage to do. What makes Mabel John unique in R&B history is her second journey, her path of community service. After leaving commercial music, she became a passionate pastor and founded Organization of Us, a charity that supports the homeless, domestic violence victims, and women in need in Los Angeles. Mabel once said, "I've lived long enough to know that the most beautiful voice is the one that saves someone." In her 70s and 80s, she continued to write books, give speeches, and inspire forgotten women just like she did. Mabel John passed away in 2022, but her legacy is not lost. She remains the first chapter of Motown history that must be read with respect. Although not on the list of living legends, Mabel John deserves to be mentioned in the journey of gratitude to the souls who paved the way. When audiences today talk about the stars that shine in the sky of R&B, a quiet and steadfast flame like Mabel is the reason that light continues to burn. These living legends are not simply names etched into music history. They are the surviving architects of R&B, still carrying the melodies and memories that shaped Black culture. Yet one question remains: do we truly honor them while they can still feel our gratitude? Too often flowers arrive only after the final curtain falls. So before another icon fades into silence, let's make sure their contributions are celebrated loudly and publicly. Which of these elders do you believe deserves a tribute spotlight next? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, where we protect the legacy they fought to build.